Hello, happy people. I hope you're having a great day today. Today we're taking a look at Kaz the Minotaur, the 1990 novel by Richard A. Knaak. It is the second novel in a series of novels that he writes for the Dragonlance Series. Richard A. Knaak debuted for the Dragonlance Series. He was his first short story was in one of the collections for the Dragonlance Series, and then his first novel, Legend of Huma, which is a sequel to from 1988, was a New York Times bestseller. Which is pretty cool. And he had that sort of a big selling for his first novel. Between 88 and 90, he's going to start writing spin-offs in a world called the Dragon Realm, which I actually followed to him. And that's a world that he created that he'll do a bunch of his fiction in. And then this is the next novel, but it's about one or two novels between The Legend of Huma and this one. When I read this when I was 13, when it was published. I was born in the last month of 76 in December, so this came out before that in 1990. So I read it when I was in junior high. Right after Legend of Huma. I read Legend of Huma not when it was published, but when I started getting into Dragonlance novels a couple of years later. And so I read this and I enjoyed it. Now, Legend of Huma, as a reminder, I've already done a review for, so I'll link you to that in the comments below in case you're interested. I'll also link you to my copy of Kaz the Minotaur 2 that we're taking a review for, so that way you can pick it up on Amazon if you don't already have it. Now, I've read this now twice for the second time. I've been going back and rereading a lot of things that I read when I was in junior high or high school, or maybe even college, just once, and seeing what I think about it now. And so I did the Dragonlance Chronicles, which I'd done 3 times before, now the 4th time, and then none of the other things in the spin-offs have done more than once. So I then did the sequel series, the Legends, the Time of the Twins, War of the Twins, and Test of the Twins, and I did those, and then I moved to the Legend of Huma, which is my favorite of the spin-off works, and now today we're doing Kaz the Minotaur, which I finished last night. And I have a copy of Legend of Minotaurs, and that's by Richard A. Knaak, which is the sequel to this one, a sort of a trilogy, if you will, and also around Kaz the Minotaur. And he happens to be a Minotaur, surprisingly enough. Anyway, Kaz was my favorite character from the Legend of Huma, and he survives. So it makes sense to have the next 2 novels change their point of view character from Huma's best friend, really. He doesn't have very many friends, but anyway, so his best friend, really, and Kaz, somebody who was fighting with him against in the good cause against the evil queen Takhisis in the 3rd Dragon War. That's told in the first Legend of Huma. Now, I would have given the Legend of Huma an 8 out of 10 when I first read it for the first time. I gave it a 7 last time. Now that is very strong. As a reminder, I would have given the Dragonlance Chronicles 9s when I first read them, but now I'm giving them a 7 too. So I'm giving Richard A. Knaak the same level as Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman, which is pretty cool, in their first trilogy. This book I'm giving a 6 to, rather than a 7, like the book that was its previous book, to which this is a sequel. I also gave 6s to the Legends Chronicles because they were slow paced, and had a lot of stuff in it that I don't think it really added to it. And I think it would have been a better novel than an entire trilogy. And it was written as one short story that they just kept adding things to. And I think that trilogy would have been told better in just one novel. And I think it would have been a cracking good novel. Anyway, Weis and Hickman kicked off the Dragonlance Chronicles with bestseller books, and all 6 of those books are bestsellers on the New York Times bestsellers list. And that's a key thing that's happening with Dungeons & Dragons. A lot of their initial books and initial people are starting brand new writers, like Weis and Hickman, best-selling, Richard A. Knaak, best-selling right off the bat. Ari Salvatore for The Forgotten Realms is a best-selling novelist right off the bat with The Crystal Shard. Douglas Niles kicks it off with Derek Walker on Moonshade. Again, a big selling book that starts off the Forgotten Realms novel series. So you have a lot of these sort of things that are happening with debut novelists. Ed Greenwood's Spellfire is one of the first ones that kicks off the Forgotten Realms novel. He's a brand new novelist. A lot of these people published like maybe modules or something else, but this was but in a lot of cases but in a lot of cases this was their first sort of novel, if you will. Like Douglas Niles was somebody who had published adventure modules for Dungeons and Dragons. But this is his first novel. So a lot of these ranges will kick things off with brand new novelists who have great starts and are well received. I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, so I'm giving this a 6 rather than a 7. I do like that this sequel is shorter than the previous book. I think a lot of writers out there suffer from what I call sequelitis, where their sequels get like 50 pages longer here, 25 pages longer there, 100 pages longer here, like a J.K. Rowling over the course of their series. And I appreciate that this one's actually shorter. I read the first novel with an hour and a half each day for 5 days. I read this one an hour and a half each day for 4 days. So it was a full hour and a half shorter. It was about 6 hours long. I tell for me to knock it out over 4 days, which I appreciate. So I do like that there's less investment of time into Kaz the Minotaur than there was into The Legend of Huma. But The Legend of Huma is roughly the same length as a book from the Dragonlance Chronicles or the first 2 books from the Legends. Trilogy, and yet it tells an entire war, whereas, for example, the first trilogy just tells a trilogy for the War of the Lance. So it takes a trilogy to tell a war, but here he's just telling it in like just one novel. And I think the first novel was cracking. I think it was well done, well paced. I enjoyed how he retold this legendary story that had been told over and over and over again. Also, The Legend of Huma was the first novel in the Dragonlance series that did not star characters that were introduced in the first books, in the first trilogy, like the preludes or the sequels, like the sequel trilogies, and that sort of thing. So I think that was pretty cool. So I enjoyed that. Anyway, and so this book then again kicks off with Kaz the Minotaur, which is my favorite character in the first book, who is, I think, clearly probably one of the best fan favorite characters among the first book for it. But again, even though it's shorter, and I appreciate that, less happens in this book than the first book. The first book has got lots of stuff that happens. This book has very little stuff that actually happens from part to part 5, from the beginning till the end. There's just not that much stuff that happens in this novel to keep your but again, it's shorter. It's just a 6-hour read. If you could easily do that in just a couple of days, right? So I appreciate that. It's not going to take a whole lot of your time to knock it out. And I definitely enjoy Richard A. Knaak. Again, I followed him to some of his other works. Richard A. Knaak is known for writing a lot of serial novels. He wrote in the Age of Conan series. He wrote in the Diablo series, 6 books in the Diablo series, 10 in the Warcraft banner. Of course, he's written several, and he's written a bunch in the Dragonlance banner, as well as short stories in the Dragonlance banner. So this is somebody who's written in a lot of other people's worlds, if you will. So that's something I think he's well known for, and that's where he got his stuff from. But again, I followed him to his own stuff, so I think that's pretty cool. Definitely somebody who appreciates the writer, but again, going back and reading it for the second time now that I'm 45 and not on junior high and 13, I'm thinking, it's probably more of a 6 rather than giving it before. It's fine. It's time. It's worth time. Anyway, the Dragonlance Chronicles are a great series. Is a great place to start for people that are beginning a journey into sort of the Dungeons & Dragons world. I have a lot of friends who play Dungeons & Dragons my age, that were living during the times this stuff was published, and never read a Dragonlance novel or a Forgotten Realms novel or a Ravenloft novel or a D&D novel, just generally, right? Whether it was or Greyhawk or whatever, right? They've not read a lot of fiction that was inspired by the game, even though they've been heavy players. So, I think that if you're interested in checking it out, I think Dragonlance is probably the place to start. It's very similar to the world. It has its own unique takes in a few ways, like its own cities, its own dragons, its own halflings that are Kender, and those sorts of things. So I don't think it's a bad place to start, but it doesn't reinvent the wheel in any major ways. Right. You're sitting down and reading these books, and they're not like going to be reinventing the wheel in any major things. So I think it's a safe place to start this series. And taking a deep dive into the world of Krynn. And then after you do the first trilogy, you do the second trilogy, that I've already reviewed for you, the Twins trilogy. And then after those 3 books, I think The Legend of Huma probably is the next best place to go to, unless you want to go to the preludes, which I don't think are as good as The Legend of Huma. which is why I moved to Legend of Who Next, which tells the legend of the stories that were told in the things. And again, I think and then if you want to move to the sequels, Kaz the Minotaur, I think that's the fine place to move to next. But anyway, I definitely enjoyed this novel. So if you're interested in checking it out, please feel encouraged to do so. Have you read Kaz the Minotaur? What did you think of it? Did you agree or disagree with my 6 out of 10? Would you like to talk about some of the spoilers? I keep my review spoiler free. This is a reminder in case you're new to the channel. If you enjoyed this video, why not hit that subscribe button? There should be a lot more of these to follow. And finally, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my video. We all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.